Welcome back to the Smugsy Show. I'm Smugsy, your host, identifying as the Barstool Cougar. My pronouns are first and third person. Each week you can join me here on the Smugsy Show and we'll explore together a topic at the intersection of sports and politics. For my pleasure and your intellectual arousal, we'll also identify a Cougar of the Week. And we have a poll question. Sometimes we have special guests. This week's topic that we're going to slinging it with Smugsy, relates to basketball legends LeBron James and Michael Jordan joining billionaire Mike Bloomberg in a last-minute play to score 29 Electoral College votes in the state of Florida in connection with the race for president. These men have contributed money or have raised money. Michael Jordan has donated $500,000. LeBron, as at least reported by The Hill, has donated $100,000. And Mike Bloomberg has raised $16 million for an organization called the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition. And it's kind of like a little buzzer beater because what they're trying to do is in Florida, if you're a felon and you owe any fees or fines, you can't vote. So if their fines and fees are paid, they can vote. It's pay to play. So in the basic definition of politics, who gets what, when, and how, in order to be a decider about who gets what, when, and how, you really, often need money. So these superstars and billionaires are betting that these guys in jail. Now, keep in mind, you have to, if you're a felon, which in Florida means you're disproportionately black or a person of color, you can't vote if you owe any fines or fees. But if you're like a, fratty millionaire who owes taxes, you can vote. So there's that. So the people of Florida made it in the Constitution. They a couple years ago amended their Constitution and said, hey, felons can vote, because they wanted to give the franchise of voting, fundamental American right, to all these people who were languishing in jail for large part because they're poor. But then the Republicans, those bastards, they came in to power 2 years later and through statute said, well, you can't vote unless you pay all your fines and fees. So LeBron and Michael Jordan and Mike Bloomberg are paying this money. There's a deadline of October 5th. And the reason why it's so important is because this, in the state of Florida, you get 29 electoral votes. So to win the election, it's like a sporting match. You need 270 electoral college votes. Each state counts for a certain number based on population. So Florida's 29 electoral votes goes towards the 270 that you need to win. And it's winner take all. So in the state of Florida, if Joe Biden wins the vote by just a majority, then he gets all 29 electoral votes. And the kicker is that the margins are so slim. So Joe Biden's only ahead by 1.2% now in the polls. And Trump won in 2016, the state of Florida, by like 113,000 votes or less. Very small, slim margin. Obama won Florida in 2012 against Mitt Romney by less than 74,000 votes, less than 1%. And so it's a lot at stake. It has to do with sports and politics. And I've got to say that I have a bit of a cougar crush on Mike Bloomberg. I mean, he was known in his younger years as being a playboy, and now he's just a player. But I mean, the 16 million, he puts his money where his mouth is. He's funny, he's classy. He's kind of like Dave Portnoy, but without, a big dick swinging, around all the time. Cougar of the Week this week, I'm so excited to announce, is Catherine O'Hara, who is known, of course, for winning the Emmy for her comedic role in Schitt's Creek. She plays Moira Rose. Catherine O'Hara, sartorially intriguing Moira Rose is her character. She's been in tons of movies, tons of TV shows. She's just a phenomenal, funny woman who is now, I think, 66. But when she was 29, she was interviewed by the Rolling Stone. She's the second youngest of 7 kids. And she's from Toronto, but she went to LA. She was an English major, and then she went to LA, to make her acting career happen. And she said I lived in LA for a few months, and then she says, quote, "It seemed like no one there had parents, or if they had parents, they would deny it." She said, "I'm pretty much a good Catholic girl at heart." So interesting that she's the youngest of 7, good Catholic girl at heart, won Best Comedian, she won an Emmy for the Best Comic Supporting Role in Schitt's Creek, and along with the rest of the cast. It's a terrific, fantastic, deliciously funny show. Watch it. Schitt's Creek. I think her next role should be playing the judge Amy Coney Barrett, who's President Trump's one of President Trump's top contenders for the Supreme Court justice position, vacated, of course, because of the sad death of notorious RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who died this week. Rest in peace. She's obviously, I think, honorary Cougar, RBG. But back to Catherine O'Hara. Her next role will be Judge Amy Coney Barrett, President Trump's current frontrunner, because Amy Coney Barrett has 7 kids, and she's Catholic, and she's a conservative kind of rock star. I mean, she was like number 1 in her class at law school, Notre Dame. She was the executive director of the Law Review, won all kinds of prestigious awards and fellowships, taught law, worked at a big firm, clerked at the Supreme Court for Antonin Scalia, who's, of course, a conservative legend. So, but because she has 7 kids, she was completely excoriated this week by these liberal wingnuts, basically accusing her of being part of a polygamist, Appalachia cult, religious cult, because she's a member of an evangelical church. Really, they went overboard, basically saying that she signed an oath that she would only make decisions after consulting with her husband. So I guess in their mind, she's at work, as she says right now, sits on one of the Court of Appeals, one of the highest courts in the land. So according to these wing jobs, they think she phones home every time she has to make a call, ruling whether, hold on, if that objection is sustained, let me just check in with my husband. So the politics is like sports. There's you got your 2 teams, your red and blue, right? Democrats, Republicans, and then you have your little cells of terrorist wingnuts, like these radical extremists who, on the left, they're the buzzkills who accusing Amy Coney Barrett of being a handmaiden in The Handmaid's Tale because she has 7 kids and is in a heterosexual marriage, because she's pro-life. And then on the right, you've got these, equally more so deranged right-wing nuts who, belong to a militia and have a conspiracy about QAnon and just extremist freaks, who ruin everything. So this week's poll question, not to get too dark about the freaks, is who do you think is more crazy, the right-wing nuts or the left-wing nuts? This week's poll question, I hope you'll respond. You can go to Twitter, follow me at Smugsy Girl, and take the poll, or you can leave a comment on the YouTube channel, or you can call the Smugsy Studio at 207-747-7044. Last week's poll question, it was about Chicago radio host Dan McNeil, formerly of the 670 The Score. He was fired the day after he tweeted something obnoxious about the ESPN reporter Maria Taylor. So last week's poll question was, did Dan McNeil deserve to be fired? And 50.8% of you fans, thank you for participating. We had the highest participation rate yet, so we're just on a trajectory going up. The Smugsy Show has taken off. Subscribe. 50.8% said yes, Dan McNeil deserved to be fired. 40% said no. 9.2% said other. Well, that's it for this week's Smugsy Show. Next week, I'm super excited to announce that we'll have a special guest, Anne McCarthy, St. Anne, wife of Large at Barstool Sports. She is going to be joining us, which will, of course, be fabulous and a challenge to, have to get my staff, make sure we can start taking guests on the show, which is really exciting. So please follow me on Twitter, Smugsy Girl. Subscribe to the show, rate the show. And until next time, this is Smugsy signing off. Take care.